I recently shared a post about how we need to make room for God in our everyday life. I shared that I believe that many of us are missing breakthroughs and answers because we're so busy trying to make things happen. And instead, if we were just to make room for Him to move, our lives will be so much more effective. I know for me personally, that is so true. I then had a lady send me a DM and asked such a great question. She asked, how do I do that? This was a great reminder for me that sometimes we all know what we should do, but we struggle to know how to really do it, how to apply it to our lives. And as I spent some time responding to her, I recognized that this action of making room for Him literally is what pursuing peace looks like. And today we're talking about the third fruit of the Spirit, peace. What is peace? Well, peace is not a what. Peace is not an external or even internal feeling we get when we take a day off, or when we sit in an open field and breathe, or if we sit by the beach. That I would rather describe as calm. That is finding calm in the middle of chaos. But peace, that to me is not a feeling. I like to rather look at peace as a person. The Holy Spirit, to me, is peace. You know the white dove? He is peace. He's called the Prince of Peace. And I believe that is why making room for God is the number one most important thing you and I need to do if we long for peace. Because then we make room for the one our soul longs for. Now, here are a few facts that I see in the Word about peace. I see that because of Him, we have peace. In John 16 verse 33, it says, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. I also see that He is peace, like I just said. In 2 Thessalonians 3 verse 16, it says this, now may the Lord of peace Himself give you peace at all times in every way. The Lord be with you all. I also see that He is called the Prince of Peace. In Isaiah 9 verse 6, it says, for to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon His shoulders, and His name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. He is Prince of Peace. I also see that peace was left for us. When Jesus went up to heaven, He left the disciples physically, but He left peace. In John 14 verse 27, it says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. We see, you know, this is the thing. We see here that the Holy Spirit, who was left with us after Jesus ascended into heaven, He is peace. Having Him in you, if you are a believer, you have the Holy Spirit living in you. It means that you have peace 24/7. He does not leave you. So that means that peace is not something that needs to be obtained. Peace instead is something that needs to be given space to in my life. And when I do that, I will experience the peace that I already have. You know, the Holy Spirit and the fruits that come with the Holy Spirit will never be forced upon you and I. It's a gift. It's a gift generously, lavishly given to you and I. It is you and my choice to make room for Him in order to experience peace. It's you and my choice if we want to receive it into our daily schedule. So how do we do that? That's the question my friend asked. How do I make room for Him? Now, I'm going to share just 3 ways that I make room for the person of peace in my life. But it's important to understand that it looks different for every person. Just like my relationship with my husband, it's different than your relationship with your husband. And the way my husband and I are intimate, or how we share our hearts and how we make room for one another, is different than yours. It's the same way. Your relationship with Jesus and the Holy Spirit is a personal relationship. And you have to find the right ways to make room for Him in your life. But I'm sure that these 3 that work for me will still inspire you and could be very, very helpful to you. It all basically just comes down to removing distraction from our days. The enemy's greatest tool to get us as believers to become weak is to bring destruction, to bring things that will distract us from Him, from His peace. Because if he can distract us, he wins. He wins us from being available for Him and being surrendered to Him by being focused on the distractions. Any way he can distract us. Because then he knows we won't make room for Him. And when we don't make room for Him, we live in a mess. And we can't hear from God if we live in a mess. You and I know that very well. That's the enemy's mission. So how do we make room? We remove distractions. And one of the things that I do, one of the first things that really are key to me is to start the day with a posture of surrender. I try to take a few minutes every single morning to just surrender my day. Surrender my plans, my desires, my children, my husband, my marriage, my to-do list. I just surrender all of it to Him. It's as simple as saying, God, today I want You to run my life, not me. Today I want You to determine my thoughts and my steps. I have plans, I have strategies, I have to-do lists, but I want to surrender all of that to You. Change it if that's what You need to do. Speak to me today. Lead me today. Guide me today. So that's the first thing. I like to surrender my day. The second thing is I sometimes put myself in a timeout. I love it, actually. Matthew 6 verse 6 gives me an excuse because it says, but when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. So sometimes I do this. I put myself in timeout and I just say, bye everyone. I'm not available. If you need anything, ask your dad. I'll be unavailable for the next 30 minutes or whatever it is. And I go lock myself in my room. I run a beautiful bath and I just lie there and talk to my Jesus. Sometimes I feel far from Him, and I'm just being honest with you. Sometimes I feel really connected and sometimes I don't. And when I don't, it's hard to sometimes find the words. So then I'll either just pray in the Spirit or I'll put on a short Christian meditation to guide me in a prayer. And usually that would be a prayer to release stress or surrender worries while just lying in the bubbles. And I honestly love it. It's amazing how much the Lord can refuel me in just a couple of minutes when I make room for Him in this way. He speaks to me in a fresh way because all of a sudden distractions are removed from me because I'm turning my eyes away from those and I'm turning my eyes on Him as I make room for Him. That's the second one. And then the third one is what I call driveway worship. It's another one of my favorites. Now, worship is really big for me. I connect with God in a powerful way during worship. And sometimes after running around, and honestly, sometimes between 3 p.m. when they get out of school to 5 or 6 p.m., I'm driving our kids around and having work calls on the phone while driving. And when I arrive in my driveway, they all hop out and I'll just stay there for a bit on my own, just making room for Him. Sometimes Andres will even come out and be like, how long have you been sitting here? Because sometimes while I'm driving, my mind is empty because I'm not speaking or listening or something, and it just goes places. And I find myself thinking about all these things and sometimes overthinking and sometimes feeling, just focusing on all the shortcomings and frustrations of my life. And I get worried. And then when I'm in my driveway, I just pause. I just make room and allow the Holy Spirit to fill me afresh. I worship Him. I put my focus on Him and get it away from the distractions. I let Him come filter my thoughts and my mind and my feelings so I can realign with His thoughts. It's amazing. And I make room for Him. He speaks to me. He guides me in those moments. Now, all three of these points are things that help me make room. They help me realign and help me break with all the distractions so I create space for Him to lead me and talk to me and guide me in all things. And I even have a plaque in my kitchen where I make my coffee, where I do the dishes. A dear friend made it for me and it says, Lord, help me to live a life at rest. Do all You have called me to do, nothing more and nothing less. It's a great reminder for me. And today, this is my prayer for you too, that you will be able to create space and time, that you'll be able to make room for Him. It's a decision, it's a discipline, so that peace can become more real for you, so that peace can have room in your life like never before. If you have any other ideas and ways that help you pursue the Prince of Peace more in your life, please share them in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Now go make room for Him and let the peace that surpasses all understanding fill you.